All right, let's get this party started in here.
Yes. So we'll do it this way. Well, I'll say we're here with Melissa. Please pronounce your last name for me. I don't want to.
Skriboll, S-K. Oh, sorry, you have the spelling. Skriboll, like gerbil.
Oh, cute. Melissa Skriboll. And she has submitted Show and Tell Tango for all of us to enjoy. And she's here with us today to give us an interview, a bit of background on herself, the film, and a bit of advice on how women can go along the path of directorial positions. So we'll start by asking you, was this the first piece that you directed, or how did you begin on your directorial path?
Okay, great. Thank you for having me. It's very nice to be here. So Show and Tell Tango was my film directing debut. I had been directing in theater for, I guess about 10 years, 8 years before that. And writing and acting. I started as an actor, and then started writing and kind of fell into directing when I realized that I knew as much as many of the directors I was letting take over the work I had created. So I decided I wanted to get more proactive. And let's see, we did Show and Tell Tango 4 years ago, I guess. And I had done it it was originally written as a short play, kind of an experimental thing. I think I was writing it for a submission prompt, and I wanted to, the prompt was, I can't remember exactly what the prompt was, but I kind of went around a back door to fill that prompt. It didn't get accepted to that particular festival because I think it was too oblique. But while I was writing it, I also wanted to play with form. There's a short play, I'm not sure if it's by Joyce Carol Oates, and I always have to look it up when I talk about it, and I don't have the book in front of me. But it's pretty much just one-word sentences. He and she saying, you, yes, me, like, and I wanted to try and do something very clipped and very, so that the meaning was between the words more. And when I did this play as a staged reading, and as we performed it, I kept thinking that it would serve as a short film, and that as wanting to move from theater to film, that it seemed something for a first piece that was manageable, because it was two people in a hotel room having a conversation. When I took it from play form to screenplay form, I added the dance and this kind of interior fantasy life that the female character is having during the exchange. So on in the reality stage of it, it's very kind of bleak. Like, the tango is the dance around trying to connect, and how hard intimacy can be, especially after a certain age when you're no longer idealistic and naive. And then the interior is, but I still believe in fairy tales and the possibility that we could all fall in love again.
No, it's beautiful. And I love the layering that you created by adding the dance, aside from the dance itself being just absolutely beautiful.
Well, I have to thank our choreographer, Mary Baynard, for that. And of course, the music by Andy Evan Cohen. Sorry, I'm playing with the lighting and
Yeah,
not
yeah.
happy with the
It
effect.
went a little darker from.
I know that that seems to be a little better. Anyway, between once we got the music, I feel like the heartbeat of it came alive. Uh, and the dancing became very I'm not going to say it was easy because I didn't choreograph it or dance it, but it fit it so easily together once we had the music.
Yes. Yeah, no, that push and pull, and yeah, the um veritas versus the fiction that we all have in our minds with love. Yeah, no, it's really a stunning piece.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're
It's
so
really
welcome.
nice to hear that. As your first piece, you're always like, it's good for a first piece. But, I do think that it stands outside of that. It's nice to hear that feedback.
No, no, you're welcome. Yeah, I'm sure everyone who sees it will think, pretty similarly. And I wouldn't have guessed that it was your first piece directing.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No, and I also found it interesting because I'm sure a lot of actresses too hold that ambition to one day direct, and you did act and direct in the piece. How did you manage that? Did you find it daunting?
Well, yes and no. So, being that it was the first time I was directing, I was putting a lot of faith for film. I was putting a lot of faith in the team that I built. The character and the acting, I had done the staged reading. I worked on it in my acting class. I wrote it. I knew this character's like I could get into it that space very easily, but not knowing the technical aspects of film. I was lucky in that I had such amazing collaborators, including my co-director, Natasha Straley, who we had originally interviewed to be the unit production manager. And at the time, she was trying to go more to directing, which she's now got an amazing directing resume and reel together. Like she's been doing a lot of great um, and being a first time director who wanted to act in it, who was also producing it, who was also written it, I was like, look, I would love to have somebody I can trust while I'm on camera. I'm more than happy to do this as a co-directing um, if we're on the same page and we have the same vision and can make it work. And I think we did a really good job of collaborating in that way.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's key, that building a team around a project.
Yeah, I mean, our whole team was just amazing. Like I said, the choreography uh, and even the imagery that was developed with those dance parts of it. My producer, Montserrat Bendez, when we started talking about what it was, really helped me clarify so many of those ideas about what this was this a fairy tale, was it their inner child, like what exactly was it, her inner dream, was it a shared vision, and finding the answers to that, which are things that he was helping me even conceptualize, because sometimes you just write things and it's like, well, that's how it came out of my head.
Yeah.
And now as a director you need a little bit more, like what does it mean, what point of view are you taking. And he was really wonderful at helping me do that. And Natasha, Mary, the choreographer, we all kind of had these meetings in the pre-production stage that by the time we got to filming, we all had this understanding of what it was we were trying to achieve with every piece of movement and every cut, the way that it cuts from the forest to the bedroom and things like that.
Every motion is planned out and yes, then executed accordingly. Yeah, no, that's a huge step, the communication again with the team effort. So you know what you're getting almost before it's shot, really, I guess, in that pre-production stage, I guess is a way to look at it. Yeah, no, that's wonderful. Might you speak to how you went about getting the cast of characters? Were it was people that you knew beforehand involved, or did you do like an open casting director?
No casting director. So I knew I wanted to be in it. So that it's only two acting roles. Um, and I have, having directed quite a bit of theater, have a lot of actors I've worked with that I just really thought were wonderful and could fit this role. Jason, Alan Carvel, who plays opposite me, I had directed in a piece a couple of years before that, and I thought he was amazing. And he's got a wonderful resume. He acts here in London. He's been on every TV show that shoots in New York, I think. Um, he's an amazing actor. When I sent him the script and asked if he was interested to do this low budget deferred pay thing, I was sure he was going to say no. And he read it. He's like, "I'd love to." I'm like, so once those two were locked in, then we set a casting call for the dancers. And we knew that we wanted to find two dancers that to one degree or another reflected a younger version of me and Jason. Um, and I think we did a pretty good job of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had to squint, to see, oh, it was the
Yeah, especially with Maria, who plays the younger version
Yes.
of me. I think we found, but she was also, it wasn't just that, but she was also the best dancer that came in. We saw some wonderful dancers, but she was like, and since then her career has been taking off. She's been on Broadway. She's been on national tours. She is an amazing dancer, actress. Justin is awesome. The two of them we just got very lucky because we saw way more female dancers came in for it. We didn't get a lot of males, and we're starting to worry. But Maria suggested Justin. She's like, "I know somebody. I'll have him come to the callbacks." And he's like, "Yeah, this works. This is great." So we were just very blessed with both of those. And yeah, that's casting.
Yeah. You touched on some points there that I wanted to bring up too, in mentioning Broadway, since all this is happening right now, and of course we're all, in lockdown currently still. What have you been doing to keep creative? Thinking about a next project?
Well, I have good days and bad days as far as being creative. Some days it's like, oh, this is awesome. I have so much time and I'm really focused. And other days the news is coming in and I'm like, it's completely scattered. But I am in post-production with my fourth short film. It's called Greetings from Sarajevo. It is written by Penny Jackson, who I co-wrote My Dinner with Schwartzy, which has been on the circuit for the last year. And it's about a survivor of the Bosnian genocide who runs into one of the colonels or generals from that time here, living under an assumed name here in New York, and sets up retribution. So we're down to the last little bit of that, waiting for what hopefully will be the final sound edit to come back, and then we'll start submitting that we're hoping fall festivals or winter, spring next year. We'll be able to premiere that. Penny gave me a monologue that I filmed on my iPhone that I'm trying to edit together. I'm not sure if I'm going to refilm the whole thing or reshoot. I guess it's not film. There's parts of what I did that I like and parts that I'm like, let's go get some pickups. Let's start over. We'll see. I'm going to try and put that together in the next few days and get it up on mine. It'll be just, it should end up being like a 4-minute film.
Oh, nice.
But, very low budget, like no budget, me and my phone. And then I'm in the middle of writing a couple of projects that I've been trying to get through for ages, 2 full-length screenplays that I hopefully will be finishing up this year.
Oh, fabulous.
And I just started collaborating with another writer on a project, which I need to um, kind of sit down and see where we're at with that, because I think it's my turn to add pages to it.
Uh, Wonderful. See, yeah, there's always that. I know we all need time to kind of nourish our souls in the midst of this, and that it's okay to have that me time, and then, you know, get on the.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, it's definitely there's because we don't know when we'll ever be able to shoot a feature film that has more than one actor and an iPhone. Like,
Yeah.
when exactly will this be in the works? When will we be able to, because they're, with both of the features I'm working on, I'd love to, as I finish them up, take a scene that stands by itself as, a 10-minute, 12-minute short, and film that as a short film to enter into festivals, but also as a proof of concept as I'm submitting the script. But when am I going to be able to shoot a love scene or a family dinner or anything? Unfortunately, I don't live in a house with other actors. I live by myself with my dog. So other than me and my dog having a conversation, there's not a lot of interaction. Um,
Yeah, no, I just heard today, Czech Republic is starting to film immediately. So, but yeah, we never know. Yeah,
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 yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think uh, I think it's going to be at least fall before anything starts to pick back up, and even then, unless there's a vaccine, at which there, you know, maybe somebody strikes gold, but
yeah, yeah.
the most realistic is a year to 2 years
Mhm.
before we see a vaccine, and at that point things can start to return to some semblance of normal.
Yeah.
But like reading some of the uh, ways that the industry is trying to conceive shooting safely, like if you don't have a big budget, it's very difficult to have that kind of safe set where nobody is coming in from the outside for the length of the shoot, and that you have 2 weeks of quarantine before you start shooting so that everybody is able to interact without masks and gloves and actually have a scene.
Yeah, yeah, or a nurse or a doctor on hand to take temperatures each day or any kind of monitoring. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
To that point, I mean, we have our resiliency and we have our art to lean on. And speaking to that resilient spirit, I'm just wondering if you ever incurred any obstacles being a female director, not naming names, of course, just if you had any, backlash or any negativity.
If I did, I'm not aware of it. How about that?
Good,
Um, you
good.
know, I I feel like when I was acting, it was a far harder road. Once I started directing, things have I've worked, and I'm talking going back to starting directing in theater. I've been directing nonstop, it seems, and I think that speaks to a couple of things. One, in the kind of downtown off Broadway independent theater scene, people make referrals, and if you do a good job on project A, the playwright likes you and tells project the next playwright, and you have project B. I also found, and this is something, just talking about being a woman, that I came to late in life, was that the women in theater and the women in film have been an amazing resource. That there's a network of women who are lifting each other up, who want to hire women directors, who want to hire women cinematographers, who want to hire women writers, and um, one of the things I would say, all of the projects that I've worked on have been more than 50% female led. You know,
Oh,
I don't rule out men. I love men. You know, I grew up with three brothers. I'm a tomboy. You know, in my into my 20s, most of my friends were guys. Um, you know, that's why I say I came to it more later in life. But uh, I think because I always hung out with guys, I never really thought about, like, I just was one of the guys,
right.
and if they gave me shit, I gave them shit back. Um, and you know, so I've always been pretty straightforward, not in an aggressive way, but like I just, if you're saying something that's out of bounds, I tell you. You know, and I've found that it could just be me being oblivious, but I don't feel like I've had a lot of pushback in that sense.
Fabulous. Yeah, no, and I think that's another element that is important to shed light on is it's not us versus them, it's collaboration at the end of the day and being able to respect each other's boundaries and opinions.
Mhm.
Yeah, that cooperativeness is really what's important.
Well, there's a story from when I was bartending a million years ago, where one of my coworkers, one of the waiters, afterwards, so one of our regular customers came in and he was, I don't know where he'd been drinking, but he was blasted, and
Mhm.
he had one drink, and I'm like, "You're cut off," and he's like, you know, he was so pissed off, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, you've had too much to drink. Go home, sleep it off." And he's like, yeah, he's yelling at me. I'm like, "I don't care. Go home." And he left. And the next day he came in and was like, "You were right. Thank you. I'm really
Oh,
glad you didn't give me another drink." And the waiter was like, "How do you do that? You are the only person I know who can cut somebody off and get thanked for it the next day.
wow.
Like, you don't take any shit. You, like, he's yelling at you and you're just like, sorry, you're go home." You know, you like, and that's kind of like when people get belligerent, I'm just like, "No, go home now." But I think that's kind of
I love it.
my Penny Jackson, who's a frequent collaborator. We did Schwartzy together. We've done some theater together. We're working on Sarajevo together. Once called me her Zen director. So that's.
Oh.
I don't feel very Zen right now. COVID has got me really unzen, but generally it's.
That's wonderful. I love it. If I was writing this as a magazine article, I'd title it The Zen Director. That's awesome.
What goes on when I get home and talk to the people that aren't part of the project, and I'm like, ah! But on set, I'm just like, I mean, I think it's also, you know, if I think going into anything knowing that things are going to go wrong, and not being married to a particular outcome. Well, being married, the outcome, yes, but the process, being willing to say, "Oh, okay, so this actor dropped out at the last minute. How do we," instead of getting all upset and, "Oh no, we've got this horrible thing that happened," it's like, "Okay, do we have a backup? Who do we cast now? How do we move forward without that?" You know, and focusing on the solutions. It doesn't let a lot of time for those issues to grow because they're already in the past.
Oh, that's fabulous. I love that, focusing on the solutions. Uh, that's wonderful. I think that's a perfect spot to end off.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes, may we all focus on the solutions.
I hope
From
so.
the Zen director.
Uh, okay, I'm so sorry that I said that. I feel so like I.
Oh, no, 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 please. No, I thought it was beautiful. I think it's a great tagline, really.
You're a sweetheart.
No, no, I
Much
appreciate it.
success with the festival
Oh, thank you.
and whatever projects you're working on.
I'm doing some, I was in the middle of co-writing a piece, a short